everyone.
Hi, how you doing?
This was your idea. You could probably start off.
My name's Jeremy,
I'm Josh.
Dale?
and as a fan of Final Fantasy VII, the original, when the remake was announced, I, of course, was very pleased. And like many people know, the demo for the remake was recently released. So I decided to bring it over, and I played through it with Josh and Dale.
He played, we watched, and I guess
A good time was had by all, basically.
I just wanted to just record their opinions. I like this because, unlike a lot of people I know, Josh, he hasn't really said he hates it in particular, isn't necessarily one of the biggest fans of Final Fantasy VII.
and I hope the kitten doesn't cause any trouble trying to rub on that tripod.
So if it looks like an earthquake, it's unseen cat.
Hey, girl,
Hey.
get over here.
Get over here.
Or just ignore me and smell that spot in the floor.
Come on.
Does not look happy.
Whatever. Anyway, I think she'll be fine.
Mhm.
Anyway, I guess we're going around giving our thoughts or whatever on the remake of...
And then this is pretty much the first Dale's ever heard of Final Fantasy VII.
Yes.
So
So
I thought it'd be nice to
his
get their opinions.
first impression was the remake, but then we specifically went back to play the original sequence to show him how it compared.
And we're talking night and day, believe me.
And it's very different, yes. Also, excuse us, we're not teenagers. We have young adults in their room that won't shut the heck up, even though we told them we're going to be recording. So, apologies for that.
We thought one might
Don't
be
get
joining
excited,
us,
you
but-
won't hear anything
Exciting.
exciting.
Unless I get mad and start beating them up. Speaking of beating up, how do you like the charisma between the characters?
Oh, they heavily expanded everything, and it was amazing. I love what they've done with Jesse.
I've added so much more personality to Jesse, and it actually, and Biggs, and Wedge, and it's gonna make me sad knowing what happens to them.
Spoiler alert for a almost 30-year-old game.
Well, it would be spoiler alert for him. He didn't get to that point yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually that point would be about the same length of time in, I think, as the demo.
It'd be after the second Mako reactor. That's quite a bit in, actually.
Mhm.
So,
It depends on how fast you take everything.
that's true. If you speed running, you probably would have gotten there. But, they die.
Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse all die in a,
In the collapse of the Sector 7 plate, the intentional collapse of the Sector 7 plate, because Shinra are monsters.
which I like. We got to see a little bit more of them being monsters in this.
Yes, they actually cut to it. That was interesting.
Because in the remake, and this is good, and again, this is actually points showing that the remake's not going to be completely superfluous. It's not going to be, I played the original so I know what's happening.
No, they had it more.
In the remake, at least in the demo, it's clear Shinra was watching the whole time, and in fact, although the bomb would have disabled the Mako reactor, wouldn't have done much to it actually.
Yeah, spoiler for the remake, Shinra actually finished the job in destroying the Mako reactor.
Yep. Which was an interesting twist.
It was. Kind of interested to see where they take that, because... Yeah.
Well, if he's the major big bad in this, he probably has a long-range plan that it fits into.
Oh, I can definitely see it. He's definitely using it, which is going to, since the remake, okay. The remake focuses on Midgar, because this is part 1.
Mm-hmm.
Midgar is the first 4 hours of the original game.
Yeah, about right.
Excuse me. And it is by far nowhere near as focused in the original.
Right.
So you're going to see, in the remake, you're going to see a lot more interesting stuff. Especially since I think they said they were shooting for around, well, either 20 or 50 hour playtime.
For that one part.
For Midgar. For what was a 4-hour part.
Yeah, that's a lot of game.
Of course, that's also not speed running. That's not hammer, focus down, skip everything, focus, slice, slice, slice.
Now that's the experience, the
That's, messing around, enjoying yourself, leisurely.
Which definitely means a lot more honeybee in.
Oh, I can't wait. I'm half tempted to turn on the original, but it would take too long to get there.
It would.
Because Dale,
That is an experience.
in the original, that's an experience, which I may have to work through the original at some point and get us there.
Or if you get the remake,
If?
when you get the remake, we can even get to that point. If you want.
What I'll probably end up doing is something similar to this, where I'll get to the Honeybee Inn in the original, and save a point when I get to the remake, depending on how saves work in the remake.
Yeah.
Because
That's the whole point,
if saves work as they have been working in modern games in the remake, it's going to be difficult to do that and not continue on with the game.
Well, from what you've told me and what you're saying here, it's like part 7 is when the whole game, storyline, whatever, kicks into high gear, or really gets interesting, really takes off.
Well, first off, Final Fantasy VII is a game all on its own. It's not part of a series.
Right.
The Final Fantasies all work like that. They aren't part of a series.
In fact, they're really not even connected to each other, like at all.
Mm-hmm.
Well, from what you told me about each one tonight, I can see that. Each one has its own, you said each one has its own unique look.
So, yeah.
They are connected pretty much in the fashion of, I guess, memes that are common.
Some things do
Common
occur.
Easter eggs. Which, chocobos. Big, flightless birds that run fast. Common theme. Bahamut, a dragon, being in the game, a common theme.
The Dragon King.
Yeah.
Yeah, just common things that are throughout each of the game. A character named Sid, who is generally helpful and mechanic-y.
Often is a mechanic. Not always, but yeah. There's almost always a Sid.
Sometimes he's helpful, sometimes he's
But
harmful.
apart from those little, I guess you could say, Easter eggs, or, well, they're memes, yeah. Apart from that, there's no connection between any of the Final Fantasy games.
Nope. Not unless there's something explicit like Final Fantasy X2.
But that's a direct sequel to
Mhm.
X, so.
And if there is something connected, they tend to leave the name of the Final Fantasy in it. Like it's Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core for one of the games,
Right,
not just Final Fantasy Crisis Core or anything.
yeah.
So it's easy to tell what's connected and what's not.
Well, the point I was going to make was it seems that they've done this remake of 7,
Mm-hmm.
and they're adding a lot to it.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They definitely added a lot to that.
So I thought if there was like an ongoing story, they were remaking this to drop some of the plot points in a little earlier or something.
It
or
seemed like
put some in that they didn't the first time around and decided, well, let's do again, and this time we'll put this stuff in.
Well, it looked like from that added scene they had with Shenra, that yeah, they totally did like expand on the storyline.
They are clearly expanding on a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot of stuff for the, I guess they call it the compilation, which is the extra games and Advent Children, which is a movie that they
Yeah.
released for Final Fantasy VII. I wouldn't be surprised if we see some things related to them, but they have explicitly stated that although canon to the original, all of the extra stuff they had, like Crisis Core or Advent Children, are de-canon to the remake. They aren't necessarily part of the remake's world. So they're ignoring them for the purposes of story and all that for the remake. But I guarantee they're going to add some stuff in.
Yeah.
Well, maybe to make up for the stuff that any references to the stuff that's decanonized now.
I don't think they decanonized anything, but
No.
there were definitely some things that were held back in the day by technical limitations. So they could definitely add more than they did before. Like we were expecting, we're looking forward to the Honeybee Inn being a lot more elaborate and crazy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can't wait.
I'm looking forward to the next part, actually, because imagine the gold saucer now.
I'm not even sure comparatively if it'll be in the next part. I completely agree.
I'm not sure about how they're breaking it up, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the gold saucer again. Because they're going to make that nuts. It's going to be great.
I mean, I personally could see the next part going all the way to the Lost City. You know, and a very certain spoiler part.
Eris lives. So
Oh,
the meme
bullshit.
goes.
But, yeah, I could see the next part 2 going that, but I could also see them cutting it off somewhere else.
Yeah.
Because in the original, that was the end of disc 1.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was also about normal playing, probably about 10 hours in. No, maybe closer to 15.
Yeah, you're about right there, about 15. And it was more than a third. There was 3 discs to Final Fantasy VII, but I'd say disc 1 was close to like 46%.
Mm-hmm.
Disc 2 was pretty close to the same amount, and 3 just existed for the end game, pretty much.
Because there were a lot of things that they couldn't fit on disc 2 with all the stuff that was on it.
They wanted only 2 discs, but they couldn't fit it.
So they reneged and gave it 3.
Well, at least they gave you the whole thing.
They did.
You got your money's worth.
Back in the day, they did.
Which I actually like the sound of them expanding on Midgar, because that is a very, very big lost opportunity from the original.
It's a very important part of the game, and in the original, once you left, you could never go back. Except for that one plotline thing. They locked you out until that point where you had to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of disappointed me, because I kind of really liked Midgar.
There were a lot of scenes and setup that, honestly, Midgar could have been its own game.
Yeah.
Like they're doing right now. But that would require expanding and expounding upon it a lot, which is what they're doing.
Yeah.
Well, maybe that's something they have planned for the future.
That's okay. The Final Fantasy VII Remake is going to be coming out in parts.
So yeah, they definitely have it planned for the future.
The first part, which is what Josh and I are talking about, is going to be just Midgar, that big industrial city we saw.
That makes a huge amount of sense.
And in the original, that was a mere 4 hours of a what, 40-hour game.
Something like that. As important as it was, it honestly didn't take up a huge amount of time. They crammed a lot of plot into it,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why the rest of the area where you're traveling the world doesn't feel like it lasts as long as it does,
Yep.
because you aren't taking up as much information.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Midgar actually doesn't take very long to get through, but it's so important.
Yeah. I like that they're expounding upon it, and because again, that was a very big lost opportunity, and one that I don't think they ever returned to, which was unfortunate. So now that they are, that's a good thing to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I could explain other things, but I'll do that today. Explain things to Dale off camera
Yeah.
because they are important. For
How
this.
they're handling Cloud's, I don't know, flashbacks, or what the heck you call them, his mental issues, the way they look like they're handling it in the remake, is far more similar to like PTSD instead of obvious voice in his head. It's like, no, it's like PTSD flashbacks, and that's an interesting take on it.
Mm-hmm.
I approve, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because the original, that little warning that he got just out of the blue, that
Warning,
was
just-
kind of like, where'd that come from?
Warning: this is not This is not a normal reactor.
Yeah.
Thanks, Zach. Oh, oops! Spoiler.
Just to give you an idea, the scene that the remake based on that warning, which it's surprising that they didn't have anything. It was the scene where he
Held his head.
held his head
and
and
Yeah.
you saw a feather drip down
saw a black feather,
and
or
disappear.
at least he thought he saw a black feather. And that wouldn't have been Zach. That would have been Sephiroth.
And he didn't say anything.
No, not a word.
So it's very interesting so far.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another thing is in this one they're going to have Sephiroth play a much bigger role in Midgard.
Yeah.
Because he played almost no role in the original.
Until the very end, where it basically was the pull the rug out from under you. Oops, your real goal is actually Sephiroth, not this corporate overlord.
Not Mr. not Head Shinra. So far, I'm actually liking his character and everything. Also, I love that they dropped foreshadowing of Reeve.
Yeah,
Maybe.
they hinted at Reeve being an informant already
Mm-hmm.
for Avalanche, which was kind of surprising.
Also, I about guarantee that they don't know it's Reeve informing them.
Right.
There's no way that they know, and so that's interesting. Overall, I really liked the remake demo. I definitely approved of it.
We better finish up because it looks like we have people hinting at they need to go or something. So, just, yeah. So, see you.
Till next time, folks.
Yep.
See ya.